Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into our post show. My name is Josh. I'm one of the pastors here on staff. I'm here with Andy.
Hello.
I'm here with Zach,
Hi.
who is one of our church interns, and here with Steve, who is our worship and creative arts pastor. Steve, I know it's your first time being on this side of the camera since the new studio. Thank you so much for doing this. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we did a lot of work in here. It's about, I would say, 85% done.
85% done.
We're
Can
getting
you
there.
give us a little teaser? I know you got some big plans that we're using this studio for. Can you give us a little teaser on what we might be expecting over the coming months?
Well, if you can just imagine what you would use a studio for, anything you could use a studio for, we got ideas. From video to audio recording to a lot of big things. So we're excited. We're getting there. We're getting close to actually starting some of those projects. So
Awesome.
I'm really excited to see what comes from the space because, we've been using it for the post show and we've been using it for our midweek Q&A. But,
Yep.
Obviously this space is designed to be able to do a lot more than that. Like you shared.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. It really was kind of that overall vision of how do we maximize every possible space that we have.
Yeah.
And we had a vision we have a vision for our online audience and for
Right.
reaching people and for continuing the conversation. And so it started with the pre-show and kind of that vision, like how do we engage people before the service starts? And really the post-show is kind of that, how do we continue the conversation afterwards? Which hopefully is happening right now in the lobby for the people
Absolutely.
who are here.
yeah, for sure. As always, with any of these questions that we ask, we would love to hear your guys' thoughts, what stood out to you in the message. So you can go to the comment section. You can put down there any answer to the questions that we are going to be going over in today's post show. So let's go ahead. Let's hop into the first one, which is, my usual question. What stood out to you in today's message that Pastor Dave gave to close out our What is Love series?
It stood out that Dave did the message, not Perry. Like we didn't
True.
give Perry the chance to wrap it up.
I'll save all of my jokes about going out on a high note.
Yeah.
Good job, Perry.
Poor Pear Bear.
Poor Perry.
Yeah.
No, we can't feel too sorry for him.
No, we can't. I don't.
The compassion's gone because there's no
Speaking
females
about
here
love,
this morning.
Perry's going to have 4 of them now. But no, ultimately, we've all been wronged by somebody. And the fact that we're called to forgive them, to pray for them, to love on them, even when they've wronged us. As a human and a broken human, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah. Like,
We've all had those things. I have my joke about my childhood nemesis that was there from kindergarten all the way through senior year of high school. And it's like, after a while, you just have to let that stuff go, just love on them. And you don't know what that person's going through and why they did what they did, but it's still hard.
For
Wait,
sure.
is that why you got your black belt in karate?
No, that's not why I got my friend. No, that was years after I hadn't even talked to him for a while. That was just something I wanted to do, Steve.
It's just from the anger he's been harboring.
yeah, with all that things that he was holding up on.
Yep, that's me, all right.
For me, it was like we all have enemies, no matter what. Like we're not all perfect, so it's kind of nice knowing like we're all gonna have enemies, but it's also hard too because like us humans, it's so hard to love them.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be mean to you and all that, but you just take it in. Like my oldest daughter, she's having enemies at school, and I just tell her, well, you just gotta turn the other cheek. And it was just funny because on our way here, we were just talking about that. She was talking about a bully from school, and I was like, well, what'd you do? And she's like, I just let them kept going and talking, and I didn't respond, and they just finally just like they're like, I don't know what to do, and I was like, well, that's good. That's what you needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of ironic how we were just talking about it, and now today's message is about that.
Yeah.
So.
I love that we're able to take kind of this series, What is Love, which is typically that romantic love. That's kind of where we go, especially in February, right? Valentine's Day. We take February, and that is the month of love. We can talk about it, and it really is typically geared towards married people.
Yeah.
This message is for all of us.
Yep.
This message was really a twist on that, and this is how Jesus really explained so much to us. Was he would take a concept like love and flip it on its head. And I love that about it. I love that we're able to openly talk about that. And I hope the challenge that Dave left us with, right, was like write down your enemy. Like you got to figure out who your enemy is.
Yeah.
And that really, I started thinking about that because when you're growing up and you're in school, you're forced into these social situations where you're going to have people that are your enemy, right? They're the bullies, they're
the meanies, stuff like that.
But as you become an adult, you just start cutting people out of your life. At least I do, right?
Yeah.
I just start cutting. And so my circle is really small. And I'm thinking, man, what I've done a really good job at is eliminating the possibility of me trying to have enemies. Like almost like I need to make myself a little more vulnerable, and I need to make sure that I'm not just immediately slicing people out, that I can show love beyond what we find ourselves doing.
Yeah.
What stood out to me the most was, well, there's a few things, but I'm not going to share one because it ties into the next question. But Dave's very last point, where he said, "Loving our enemies reveals God." Like if we are truly loving the people that cause us pain, that bully us, mock us, whatever it could be, but we choose to love them through that, we can not only reveal God more to ourselves and see him more, but we can reveal God to others around us and to that person that is our enemy. And they might experience God's love and God's truth through our actions. So that was the big thing that was like, man, like, even though it's really tough, that is a big thing that stands out.
That's really good, Josh. That might also stand out to other people who see you do that.
Yeah.
And then when they come up and say, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "Well, because God loves me and I love others." Again, like we said a couple weeks ago, little moments like that are ways to express your faith in a way that people are more susceptible to it, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to preach down to them. I'm just like, this is just Jesus loves me and I love them. But they just said something mean to you. That's okay.
Yep.
I've said mean things before. We're all guilty.
Absolutely.
Of it, so, yeah.
Absolutely. So this next question, it's two questions in one. And one of the things that we want to talk about is we want to be able to encourage each other and help each other through our application. So in this question is the 5 points that Dave shared from the chapter, or from the verse in Luke 6:28 through 30, I believe is what it was. But he shared these 5 things that we can pull from those verses on how to love our enemies. So when it comes to loving your enemies, we'll start with this one. Which one is the hardest for you to do?
I think that's 5. I think for me it's pretty easy. I think it's number 2, when they lie about you. I think some of the other ones I'm like, if they demean me, if they irritate me,
I can calmly stand my ground.
I feel like my demeanor is enough where I can kind of let it roll. But when there's lies, specific lies about me, like that cuts deep. It's really tough. And my initial response is not to pray for them.
It's to pray for their demise.
right.
I hate to say it, but I'm only
Like
human.
Dave was talking about, oh
yeah.
Lord, smite them.
Made their liver be set. I was like, wow, that's a heck of a prayer.
That is one heck of a prayer right there.
Yeah, I think I'm with Steve. Like somebody can curse me, like that can wash over because like that's just words that hit and can sometimes roll off. But a lie like about you personally, that's like an attack like that just goes beyond the fear, just mere words. It's like they had to put thought behind lying about you because they're trying to make you look less in other people's eyes, and then praying for them on top of that. That's really hard for me. That's one of my tough ones. I can stand my ground. I can be gracious because I get irritated. I work with youth group. You get irritated sometimes. So I can be gracious.
However, don't let that be a reason you don't
Don't let
serve
that be
it.
exactly. So
Originally, I was gonna say 2, but I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna go to 1. Just because like it's so hard. Like when someone's like going at you and at you, your instant reaction is want to go back at them.
Yeah.
And just fight with them. So it's kind of hard. Like in my head, I'm like, okay, just ignore it. But my brain's like, go after them. Like just go after them, attack them too. But you're not supposed to. Like you're supposed to again turn the other cheek, and it's just kind of hard. But
yep.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the third one, and the reason why is because whenever somebody's demeaning me to my face, one, I get this like respect, like at least you're doing it to my face. But two, I'm like, I'll turn my other cheek, but while I'm turning it, I'm gonna make sure I get you back. like my brain. And it's from old habits I'm still trying to break. We'll go into a place of I got to defend myself, and then as I defend myself, it'll build more to okay. Let me just stop defending myself and let me attack you. Yeah. And it is something that I've been working really hard at breaking. So the third one, especially when Dave was talking about turning the other cheek, I'm like, man, this is still something that I have to learn and I have to grow in to be able to love my enemies better. But then to answer the other questions. The second one is actually pretty easy for me.
Not really.
Because they're not doing it to my face.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, if they're telling a lie that I know 100% is a lie, whatever. They can spread rumors. Like, I guess I've had in high school all that enough rumors that were spread that I just knew that weren't true, that I know the truth, and I know God knows the truth. And if anybody wants to come and talk to me about what they heard, I'll tell them what the truth is. And I can't make people change their mind no matter the amount of proof that I have. We see that in today's society. So that one actually isn't too hard for me. So, yeah.
Go ahead. You seem like you had something to say.
No.
Oh, in that case, for me, the easiest, number 4. My dad was always like, kill him with kindness. So there's times where I'll be like, oh, you're gonna, irritate me to my face or try to do stuff. All right, I'll just smile and be like, how can I help you do that or stuff like that? And it's just like, for some reason, I know I shouldn't because I'm not doing it for the right reasons. I'm not being gracious and nice because I want to be. It's because that's my way of getting back at you and making you go home and feel really bad about what you did because he was so nice when I was being so mean. So.
Yeah.
Gotta love the motivation.
You gotta love the right, exactly.
You want to go or you want me?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know which one's the easiest.
Okay, I'll go. For me, the easiest is 5. When they want something from me to be generous, I'm usually a generous guy. Like, if they need, for instance, my mother-in-law, she's so mean and all that, but if she ever needed anything, like money or just like watching the kids or anything, like I was there for her. Like, it's just the kindness of my heart, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, even though you're being nasty to me and not caring for me, but yeah,
meanie.
Yeah. But I think that's just a mother-in-law thing.
Yeah, I could say number 5 too, but not for that reason.
Yeah.
Probably because I don't have much.
It is easy to be generous. Sorry.
It's easy if you don't have much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all got time, though, and you can be generous with your time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can be generous with your time.
Yeah. For sure.
Alrighty. So, what fruit have you seen in your life through loving your enemies? Where have you seen God use you? Heck, we can expand this question. Where have you seen somebody love their enemies? And what have you gotten from that, too, if we even want to go down that route?
I do have a story where it's actually kind of ironic now because me and this kid in school, we were like we didn't get along at all. And he'd bully me. He would actually call me Jesus Boy. It was weird because I started it was called Falcons for Christ, where we met and did everything, and he found out, and yeah, he just kept calling me Jesus Boy. And then I was like, hey, how about you come and visit? How about you come and join? And I was like, if you're gonna keep calling me Jesus Boy, why don't you join? And then he did, and then he followed, he finally accepted Jesus, and now he's actually he's a director at a Bible camp.
Wow.
Which is pretty funny. I was like,
It's funny.
yeah, we actually talked kind of recently, and then he's like, yeah, like come visit our camp and all that. I was like,
sure, Jesus Boy.
Hey, I was like, I was like, yeah. Now I call him Jesus Man. I was like, yeah, all right, Jesus Man. So,
I like it.
So wait, Falcons for Christ? Was that your mascot or something?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Falcons. Yeah,
I was trying the whole time. I'm trying to put it together. I'm like,
yeah, Falcons. Yeah, Constantine Falcon.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned my grade school and high school nemesis. A few years ago, we became friends on Facebook. So I'm like, he sent me one because I would like for years I'd like see it, his name pop up. I'm like, no, you were always mean. You were always nice when we were just hanging out, but when other people were around, you try to put me down and get a laugh at my expense and all that sort of stuff. And finally, he sent one, and I was like, so I clicked. I was like, sure, whatever. I'm too old to care about this. And he posted something about one of his kids, and I reached out, or I just commented, and I said, hey, great job. Your family looks lovely, or something like that. And he like DM'd me and like apologized for stuff and was like, hey, thanks for that. My kid would just, he had my phone when you wrote it. So he was like really happy to see that. I was like, all right, thanks. You and I are cool now. But it's one of those things where it's like, I could have just held on to that stupid little grudge and been like, I don't need to be friends with this on Facebook. And granted, it's not major at all in the big scheme of things, but it is that he and I were able to kind of put that beef aside. Now, I'm sure if like I go to a class reunion, which I don't plan on going because I haven't been to one yet, but I'm sure it'd be one of those we could just quickly laugh about all that stupid stuff that happened then and just kind of move forward. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you don't know though. I mean, I'm assuming you're friends now on Facebook.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Who knows? There might be something that you post or something
That's
that comes
true.
across. I mean, it's weird. It's weird the influence we have now with social media and I mean, good and bad.
Yeah.
And we can use it to.
Hard me in.
yeah. Yeah, social media is like one of the number one causes of bullying now. So,
Yeah.
but I think with us now, because we're all getting older, we're like,
I don't know
We
about
don't-
you guys, but I'm young.
yeah.
Yeah. Steve and I are the ones. Wait a minute. We're the ones fighting.
I'm in my
Well,
Taylor Swift year.
starting to
22,
get-
baby.
Oh, stop it.
Start- well, starting to get older. We're just like, we don't have time. Like what you said earlier, like we don't really have time for enemies anymore. So, yeah,
It's kind of not worth it. In
Yeah.
the long run, you finally get to that point in life where you're like,
it's like whatever.
But like you also said, it's really easy to then, if you see somebody who you think you're not going to get along with or stuff like that, easy just quickly go, nope, done. I've got
Right.
my group here, and you might miss out on something from that person that they could add to it or things of that nature. So,
Yeah.
For sure. All right, gentlemen, I got to split.
what do you got to sing or something?
Yeah, I got to go back.
Got to go.
Third
do your
service
job?
is just about to start, so I got to go.
Awesome.
Keep this
All right.
conversation going, and put in the chat.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
all
yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
I know for me, some of the fruit that I've seen through trying my best to live out these things that Pastor Dave shared this morning is I've seen this refinement within my own heart in the sense of, okay, like I am trying my best to reflect the love of Christ to everybody I meet, including my enemies. And even though my enemies, they persecute me and they come at me, whenever I share and show the love of Christ through my actions the best that I can, because I'm not a perfect human, I've seen this refinement of it becomes easier. Like it slowly just becomes easier over time, and like I'm able to repeat at the end of John 16 where Jesus says, like, hey, take heart, I've overcome the world. Like, you're gonna have troubles,
Yeah.
you're gonna have enemies, you're gonna have persecution,
Right.
but whenever that happens, take heart. Like Jesus has overcome the world, and we can be in His presence in the process of loving our enemies. So that's some of the fruit that I've seen within my own life. And I know that as I bear that fruit, as an image bearer for Christ, that that fruit will spread to other people that are nearby, and they'll be able to see those actions. As Perry said in both weeks that he spoke, like actions speak louder than words. Like talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Just saying I love you, that's cheap. You gotta show it. Like actions are so important. So when we love our enemies, we can say, oh yeah, I love you, I'm praying for you. Now what's the action behind you? Are you actually praying for that person? Do you actually love and care for that person? So whenever we show those actions and bear that fruit, it can lead to such an impact in so many people, not just my life and my enemy's life, but to everybody else around our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah. Does anybody have anything else to add before we wrap up today's post show?
Well, I mean, one thing is good. Like I've seen you during youth group share personal stories about your life and being, going through some stuff and having to forgive certain people that have wronged you. And I've in our group talks, the kids have asked if I've ever had to do that, or
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
No matter what age you are, somebody's always said something that made you feel
Yeah.
less about yourself.
Oh, for sure.
And that can help people want to talk about it, or
sure.
if they see that you've then forgiven somebody and then hear that I had trouble with somebody and then I've made up with them and we've now become better, maybe they will, hear that and think about it more, so they don't quickly do what we do and just cut people out, or this, or they give people more chances.
Absolutely.
Or they, forgive somebody that wronged them easier than what we did. So hopefully my dad always says this, each generation gets better. Whereas he has a temper, I have a temper, my kids have less of a temper, stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
So I think that same thing with inside of our church and the people that we're around, each generation can get better to where, forgiving and loving your enemies, because Jesus said we're always going to have them.
Yep.
If that becomes easier, then we're doing the right things. And
Absolutely.
Jesus is doing, through us is doing the right
Absolutely.
things. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we see, to piggyback off of that, like how big of a deal this whole thing is in forgiving, is like almost every popular movie has that character that's wrestling with what somebody said or did to them when they're younger. Like almost every single movie has that character that develops throughout the movie or develops throughout the TV series to the point where they're able to forgive and they're able to move on. And like this is even in secular culture, this is such a big thing that is talked about, which is why we talk about those things here at Connections. So remember Dave's challenge. List out who your enemies are. That's tough to even think about, listing out who your enemies are, but then figure out a way that you can love each one of them this week. And if you want a tough one, praying for them is a tough one. Praying for somebody that hurt you. I know Layla and I shared a little bit about it last week. That is one of the hardest but most humbling things that we can do. So if you think of an enemy, pray for them. It will be life-changing for you, and God will also do amazing things within the life of that enemy. So,
Yeah.
Anything else? No? All righty. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. If everybody online, if you have any questions at all about anything to read in the Bible, anything to do with our message series, or anything at all to do with our church, you can go to my3c.org. You can go to submit a question tab up at the top. It's totally anonymous. You can put your question in there. As Pastor Dave and I share on the Q&A, we want to be able to answer all of those questions. Now, some of the questions that get sent in need a response within the first 24 to 48 hours that we see it. Well, the beauty and the curse of being totally anonymous is, one, we don't know who you are, but two, for those ones we need to answer right away, we need to know who you are, but we don't. So if you have a question that you want an answer to really fast, put your phone number or put your email within that response for the question, and we will get back to you within 28 or 24 to 48 hours with an answer to your question. So if you have any questions at all, go to my3c.org and go to the Submit a Question tab. We would love to be able to answer your question. We hope you guys come to our baptism tonight, our baptism night tonight.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be fantastic. We have 12 people getting baptized. I'm the youth pastor. I got to share this win. We have 8 youth students and 2 youth leaders that are getting baptized tonight. One of them just happens to be sitting right next to me. So I am super excited. God has been moving within our youth students within this church. And I am so excited and so blessed to get to be a part of it and get to see what God does tonight. So I really, really encourage you to come out and see what God is doing within Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
And some of us older folks too.
And some of the older
I don't know any of
folks.
those
So,
gen stuff.
yeah, I really encourage you guys to come out tonight if you don't have anything to do at 5:30 tonight here at the church. It's going to be about an hour long. It's going to be
gonna be a
amazing.
celebration.
Come and celebrate, see these public
Oh, yeah.
declarations of these students' faith and the other people getting baptized, of course. So I'm throwing the iPad everywhere.
Good catch.
But you guys have a fantastic week. We hope to see you either tonight or baptism night or next week at one of our services. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.